What's good, everybody? CocoaPower430 here with a quick update. I'm going to start streaming some of my Pokemon challenge attempts live on Twitch. So if you're interested in that, follow my Twitch and follow my YouTube channel, as I'm probably going to post the full schedule on my community post. So if you're interested in that, make sure to hit the notification bell and let's get on to the video. What's good, everybody? It's CocoaPower430 here and welcome back to another Pokemon challenge video. Since it's the month of February, you know, the month of love, and the month of adding a date to the year every 4 years. I mean, they call it a leap year. I don't really get it. I'm not an astrologist. I'm just a Taurus, for crying out loud. But I love nothing more than the pink god slayer himself, Kirby. Since playing the original Kirby's Adventure on the NES and watching Kirby right back at you on 4Kids,
the era of hand-drawn animation is over. Yeah, who needs hands anymore?
You can make a cartoon in just a few hours, and you don't need to pay any artists anymore.
Good riddance.
Yeah, remember 4Kids? Remember they made everybody sing the national anthem for absolutely no reason? I honestly can't imagine Kirby flexing US propaganda on young and impressionable viewers, like myself. But we're not here to talk about the failures of US diplomacy. We are here to attempt to beat a ROM hack created by fellow Kerbro enthusiast, the Ultra Nerd, and her complete overhaul of Pokemon Fire Red, where every single Pokemon in the game has transformed into characters from the Kirby games, with different abilities and stats that completely change them and turns Fire Red into a completely different game. So strap in, folks, as we attempt to complete a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Puffy Peak version. Now, if you don't know the rules of a hardcore Nuzlocke, hi, hello, how did you get to this channel? It basically goes like this. The player may only catch the first wild Pokemon encountered each area and no others. If the first wild Pokemon encountered faints or flees, there are no second chances. Any Pokemon that faints is considered dead and must be released. If you're running out of Pokemon, you failed the challenge and must restart the game. So yeah, if I faint or lose a battle, that's game over and I have to start all the way from the beginning. Also, no items to be used during battle unless it's a held item, and there will be level caps for this game. So all said and done, let's get into a Nuzlocke and see I'll have what it takes to become the Pokemon champion. Or, I guess in this case, Kirby champion. Honestly, could be both. Anyway, let's get right into the challenge. So, in the beginning of the ROM hack, instead of choosing between either Squirtle, Bulbasaur, or Charmander, we now have the choices of choosing between either Whispy Jr., Goosa, or Bobo. I decided on Goosa as I tend to never use the water starter anyway. Sorry all you Squirtle fans, I'm Team Charmander. But not so fast, as our rival Melee decided he wanted to face me in battle, and I actually lost this fight? I actually lost the first fight of the game? Wow. At least the Nuzlocke starts when I grab some Pokeballs, but losing my first battle does not bode well for me. But now, since we were able to get Pokeballs thanks to giving Oak his parcel, it was finally time to get our very first Pokemon on Route 1. And on Route 1, we found an Awoofi. Honestly, I couldn't tell if this was either a Rattata or something else. It was pretty powerful, not gonna lie, for a level 3. So this will be a very valuable asset to my team. Since everything has changed and all the abilities are completely different for each Pokemon, this might be a really good get, but time will tell. And we were able to add another Pokemon to our collection. Enter Leather Viridian City on Route 22, where the optional rival fight is located. I was able to capture myself a Mookie. Now at first, I really didn't want to fight the optional rival fight, but I thought, you know what, since everything's different and all these Pokemon look really good, or technically Kirby characters in this case, I decided, you know what, let's take it on and see what my rival Melee has in store for me. He can't beat me twice in a row, right? Could he? My rival Melee first sent out a Brontoberg, which I thought would be pretty terrifying at first, but comparing the damage done between the Brontoberg and Awoofi did some serious damage. She even got a random critical hit at the end, which probably did nothing. But now here comes the real problem. His starter, Whispy Jr. This Whispy Jr. was absolutely terrifying. I really had no idea what to do at first, because I thought it would have a grass move by now. So I just set on Mookie just to try to absorb some damage. And it just kept spamming growls and almost brought down Mookie. That if it got a crit, it would have ended my poor little Mookie. But luckily I switched out to Goosa, and that was it for Whispy Jr. I really thought at first that Whispy Jr. would have some grass moves, but apparently it doesn't. I guess the next level at level 10 it would. So I got really lucky here, because if it had absorb or something like that, it probably would have won fairly easily. But that was the optional trainer fight. Take it down. Let's keep going to get our next. I keep wanting to say Pokemon encounter, but it's Kirby. It's gonna be so weird. I'm just gonna keep saying Pokemon encounter because it's just too weird for me. So let's get our next Pokemon encounter. And on the next route, we were able to find ourselves a Bronto. Now, I brought in a Woofy just to try to hit one tackle to bring it maybe into red health, and she got a critical hit. Thanks, Woofy. But I guess no time for tears now, as we were able to find ourselves in Viridian Forest and get our next encounter. And we found ourselves a Pupa. Pupa? Poopa? I think Pupa. But after escaping Viridian Forest, we were able to finally head to Pewter City and try to take on the Pewter Gym leader Brock. Now, the one interesting thing about this game is that you can actually talk to the people in the front. They'll give you free, I think about 30 rare candies each. So in theory, you could just use the rare candies now, get to the level cap if you want to do a Nuzlocke, and keep pushing forward. I think that's a really cool thing. Now I know some other Pokemon ROM hacks do, but they give it to you in the key items already to boot, and they have a level cap implemented already. So I think it's more interesting that they give you the rare candies at the gym rather than having them immediately, so you just kind of rush through everybody. I think that's a unique thing. But never mind all that, now it's time to take on Brock and his crazy Kirby Rock type team. But you know how I was talking about how you get the rare candies if you talk to people in front? I didn't know that at first. I realized that really later on, and I mean really later on. So this fight, all my Pokemon are basically really underleveled, but still, Brock wasn't too bad of a fight. The only problem I had was with Golem. No, not that Golem, this Golem. He almost brought down Mookie to 1 HP. I mean, I've been having really close calls with Mookie. It's getting really dangerous now. But I just sent out Gusa to finish the job, and even at level 12, compared to level 14, the Golem was no match for my Gusa, meaning I was able to get the first gym badge of the Nuzlocke. 1 down, only 7 more to go. It is going to get much harder from here. This is the easy stuff, but believe me, it gets much more challenging. And after I took out my first trainer on the new route towards Mount Moon, my Pupa evolved into a Como. It even got a new ability with Intimidate. Wow, I can't remember a bug type that actually learns Intimidate. Maybe I'm just mistaking one, I just can't remember. But this is really interesting how they gave the bug types a chance to actually compete. That's actually unique. But now, since we're on the route to Mount Moon, I was able to find myself a new encounter and get myself an angry looking block named Blockin. I mean, just look at his face. He is mad. And why is he mad? I don't know. He probably can't see his forehead or something. I mean, I don't know. He's just really mad.
Hey, Patrick, are you angry too?
Yeah,
What's the matter?
can't see my forehead.
Now, I don't want to spoil what I got as the magic card replacement for Puffy Pink. I just want to show you guys what it is. It is absolutely hilarious. Yep, that's right. I got a literal butterfly. Is it good? No, it is terrible. It can't do any damage to nothing. I think it literally has 1 attack. Yes, it literally has 1 attack. It was absolutely horrendous. But in Mount Moon, I was able to get myself a Gadson, which is basically a Geodude, so hopefully I can find a way to progress and make it evolve and potentially make it a very good Pokemon. But as I kept diving deeper and deeper into Mount Moon to try to take down Team Rocket, my Gusa started to evolve at level 16 and evolved from a little narwhal to a big shark. The Gusa evolved into Joe, and it's actually kind of insane how it's basically just a really angry Sharpedo. I mean, it even learns Bite. I mean, isn't this just Sharpedo? I digress. We gotta take down Team Rocket and save one of the fossil Pokemon. Or fossil Kirby? I'm still confused about it. Now, this fossil hunter fight was so annoying. And I thought at first it'd be super easy just because it's a fossil hunter. How hard could this fight be? Wrong. For one Pokemon was the sole reason why this fight took me forever. He had a Caper, which is basically a Ghastly, but this Caper had to be the most lucky Caper I've ever seen. over and over again. He will hit every single hypnosis on my Pokemon. I think he had the Keen Eye ability where you just have higher accuracy for moves, because I swear, hypnosis is 75% chance of hitting. It should not be this accurate. It'll keep spamming Confuse Ray over and over again. I thought I was done for sure, but luckily one of my Pokemon woke up, took it down, and the rest of the fight was super easy. I mean, my god, what annoying luck I had right there. Since I defeated the Fossil Hunter, I had my choice of either getting the Disc Fossil or the Box Fossil. I decided to take the Disc Fossil instead of picking up the Box Fossil because I already had an angry box with me. Adding another one to my team just sounds too crazy for me. I mean, I can't handle one angry box. Imagine another. Absolutely unreal. Since we're finally free of Mount Moon and into Cerulean City, I thought it was the perfect time to take on my rival before taking on Misty and see what type of Pokemon he had in store for me. And not gonna lie, he basically had the same team as he does in the regular Fire Red and Leaf Green teams, but I feel like they're a lot stronger because even with the Intimidate off, Birdon did a lot of damage. It nearly brought my Mookie down to just almost dying. I was like, wait a minute, even with the Intimidate, it did that much damage, which is going to be a problem because I've noticed recently that I've left Mookie for far too long in, and I should be switching when it matters. Hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt when I take on Misty, but after that, I just sent in Blockin, and Blockin really didn't do much, to be honest. Blockin hit one tackle, and it did barely anything. Granted, Blockin is level 10 and Birdon is level 17, but still, ooh, this is gonna be rough. But after Birdon was down, next was the main competition himself, the Wispy Jr. Now, I wanted to look at first to see what I can actually bring in, and besides a Woofy that I really wanted to save for the next few Pokemon that my rival had, there was really nothing I could bring in to take down the Wispy Jr. So unfortunately, I had to sacrifice Blockin, and that was our first death of the run. Man, just unfortunate to be honest. I really had nothing that could counter the Wispy Jr. or something that could be brought in safely, but don't worry about that. We got Como now, and although Fury Cutter doesn't do that much, I keep getting enough Fury Cutters that eventually I was able to take down the Wispy Jr. That was a little bit too close for comfort. If it just hit one more Razor Leaf, that would have been it. And the Dupa was pretty easy to take down with a Woofy, and last up, my rival had his own Woofy, and that was basically it for my rival. A pretty tough fight, not gonna lie, and unfortunately lost my first Pokemon on the run. Sorry Blockin, maybe now you can see your forehead. And on the route by Cerulean Cave, I was able to capture myself immediately. It kind of reminds me of Heracross, so I thought I needed to capture this thing quick and level it up properly to get myself ready to take on Misty. But also, in the same area, I also captured this random shiny Flora. Apparently in this game, the shiny odds are increased to I think 1 in 40, which is kind of insane. I mean, I found a lot of shiny Pokemon that I couldn't use because I already constantly from the Nuzlocke, but I was like, wait a minute, I can make this into a shinies only video if you guys want me to. Comment down below if you're interested in that. I do want to play this game again because it was really fun. So if you're interested in a shinies only video, comment down below or hit that like and subscribe button. But after I found my first shiny out of many other shinies, I mean, it's kind of crazy how many times I found a shiny without this Nuzlocke. It was pretty insane. I found Bill, not turned into a Jigglypuff, but oh my god, he turned into one of the Matango. Don't infect me with your mushrooms, man. Leave me alone. But after I escaped Bill before he could turn me and my team into giant mushrooms, we decided now is the time. Since 2 of my team members are at the level cap, I thought it was a perfect time to take on Misty and her water type Pokemon. Misty first sent out her Floatzel, and if you notice something, Como's gone from the party. Yep, that's because Como evolved from just a little Como to a Spider-Roo. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, as for some reason I thought I did, but I've been looking through the files and I could not find it. It is really weird just where it disappeared to, but it doesn't matter now since I have a fully evolved form Pokemon already by the second gym, so it must be good, right? Yeah, it actually is, but Floatzel has really high HP defense. This thing was an absolute tank, and all it kept doing was spamming smoke screens. So I was in trouble early on because it hit off 3 smoke screens and I thought, okay, this could be trouble. So in a panic, I actually sent out a Woofy, which I thought could handle it, but it turns out that it brought my Woofy just low enough to where if it got hit by a confusion, that would be it for poor Woofy. And the water pulse hit, it got a confusion off, and it hit itself in confusion. Down goes poor Woofy. Another member of my team was defeated. Uh-oh, this could be getting bad really quick. But look like I sent out Spider-Roo again to take down the Floatzel. But here comes Misty's ace, Mr. Green. The scariest Pokemon I have ever encountered in any ROM hack. Now this Mr. Green was absolutely terrifying for one reason. It set up Rain Dance on the very first turn. Now, at first you're thinking, this shouldn't be too bad, right? I have Joe, who's a water type. I have Spider-Roo, who's a bug and grass type. And I also have Beatley, who's a bug and grass type. So I should be fine here, right? Wrong. Mr. Green has Shockwave, which brought my Spider-Roo down to 7 HP. Okay, that's pretty terrifying. So I just had to get a clean switch in, meaning I had to sacrifice poor Butterfly to the Shockwave. Poor Butterfly. I wish I knew what you were going to evolve into that could have been like Gyarados, but I guess we'll never know. But anyway, I decided to bring in Beatley because it can survive a Water Pulse, right? Critical hit Water Pulse. And now I am in full panic mode. Now that I know that it has Shockwave, I can't bring in Joe because she would get one shot by the Mr. Green as well. So I am in full panic mode and I bring in Mookie praying that they could maybe get a critical hit. And with a Mega Kick, it barely doesn't do enough damage and Mookie's on just 2 HP. Okay, you know what? I decided I need to clean switch into Joe and I had to sadly sacrifice the Spider-Roo. I really didn't want to sacrifice Mookie because Mookie's been really good against the other trainers that I was leveling up against. So I thought, okay, Spider-Roo just sadly has to go and to bring in Joe to get the bite off to end this. And Joe doesn't even get the KO. Mr. Green goes for a Shockwave and I barely live on 6 HP. Oh my god, this was the scariest fight I have ever had. 4 Pokemon went down almost immediately. And now, I don't have a lot of Pokemon to choose from. This is pretty terrifying. I might be in danger. But I got my second gym badge and I only got 6 more to go. Oh boy, this Nuzlocke has been absolutely insane so far. So I guess during this recording session, I completely forgot to show off the Pokemon I got until I realized, wait a minute, I have to record this. And on the route before I head to Surge, I caught myself a Boxin. And here I was in the Diglett Cave trying to find out what's good and what's bad. And I was able to capture myself a Gaga. Honestly, that's the best name ever. Just saying it right now, Gaga, I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. Also, I captured myself a Pumpkin. If you notice right there, I don't know why I forgot to record all these encounters. That is so weird. But this Gaga was really good for me, especially since I'm going to take on Surge and the SSN to take on my rival. Potentially, it could be a life-saving Pokemon. But for now, I captured myself a Gaga and went to the next route to find myself a Chemitori. This Pokemon was so annoying to capture. I don't know why it took forever just to try to capture it, but I thought this was going to be a failed encounter because it kept spamming barrages and just trying to bring me down to red HP. But luckily I was able to hit a Hypnosis off and get myself a Chemitori. Man, that was actually pretty close. If I didn't capture it, I believe the Lychee would have ended it. Oof, that would have been not good actually, not good at all. Also ignore the close encounter I had with that random trader. Just ignore that. Oh my god, Mookie, please. Mookie, you keep living life on the edge, why? I'm honestly going to keep the rival fight short and sweet because this fight was surprisingly very easy. And not because of Gansen just completely wiping Bird on, but it turns out Chemitori was actually a poison type. So it's the perfect counter to Wispy, meaning I had no trouble taking it down, also taking down the Dupa as well, and the Garufi, which, you know, a Woofy basically evolved for, turned into. No, poor Woofy. I'm so sorry. Mr. Green is just so terrifying. But yeah, this fight was pretty easy, and let's get our HM and then take on Surge. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Lieutenant Surge was a pretty simple fight. I thought he was gonna have Pokemon that would counter my team, just like how Misty had with Mr. Green, but for the most part, they were all electric types, making this fight pretty simple. But I kind of threw here with Mookie when the Plasma Whiz came out. I sort of switched back into Gaga so he could take the Shockwave, but once I missed that Rock Throw, yeah, it took one Shockwave to take down my poor Mookie. That was not very smart on my end. I started switching the Gaga, it couldn't get hit by an electric type move, and it basically threw and KO'd Mookie for absolutely no reason. Even though I got the 3rd gym badge, I won. But at what cost? Mookie's luck was sure to run out eventually, but that just absolutely stinks. But now, since I was on the road to Rock Tunnel, I was able to catch myself on Route 9, a Puffy Cloud. Wow, nothing says coolness more than a Cloud wearing sunglasses. I mean, look at him. He just looks great. And on Route 10, I was able to catch myself a Squishy. A really good Pokemon, but since it's level 11, I sadly can't take it with me. Not yet at least, but maybe it could be useful later down the road. We shall see. But for now, let's head to Rock Tunnel to find some more encounters. And upon entering the Rock Tunnel, I was able to find myself a Gordo, a great Pokemon to have. Not only does it have high defense and high special defense, but also has the ability Iron Barbs. Also, it can learn flying moves for some reason. I mean, this is basically just a beefed up Skarmory. This Pokemon is absolutely insane. I can't wait to level up and use it on my main team. And on the route west of Lavender Town, I was able to capture a Collar. I do have a lot of flying types, not gonna lie. The Cloud is a flying type Pokemon, which is kind of shocking. Gordo is steel, but can learn a lot of flying type moves. So this is gonna be in the back pocket for now. I believe I'll use it eventually, but it looks good. But since I have a lot of flying type Pokemon already, I think I can handle Erica just fine. When we finally arrived in Celadon City, instead of getting an Eevee from that dude all the way up in the tower, he actually gives us this thing called a Dark Matter, which looks really, really cool. But once evolved with a Heart Star, it evolves into a Gooey. And Gooey looks absolutely hilarious, with one of the coolest abilities I've ever seen, Pitch Black, where he turns normal moves into dark moves. Gooey can be a very good Pokemon to use against Sabrina, so I might just need to keep it as I try to take on Erica and her grass type Pokemon. Okay, to be honest, I'm gonna keep the entire fight in because this fight was absolutely insane. Gooey did so much damage, even with Takedown, because now Takedown is a dark move. And I thought right here going into Poison Mash, I'd use a ground type move since it's supposed to be very effective, or at least super effective. And for some reason it did normal damage. I mean, I'm pretty confused by that, not gonna lie, because it's literally called Poison Mash. It's supposed to be poison. So I guess it's poison grass, meaning it really didn't do that much, which kind of sucks. I almost nearly threw there, but here comes Erica's ace, Lady Ivy, and this was annoying. She kept spamming moves that were super effective against my Chemitory, leaving on just barely enough HP to survive, and I didn't want to risk it, so I decided I wanted to go into Pumpkin, and that was almost a mistake too, because those rock tombs kept going for massive damage. All I had to, so instead I had to risk it by just sending in Joe, who knew Aerial Ace, and that was barely enough to take down Lady Ivy. I mean, if Joe went down there, I might have gotten swept actually. I am not gonna lie, because every single thing was poisoned or paralysis, and it was just really annoying fight actually. She was pretty close to take down all my Pokemon. And by purchasing a Leaf Stone, I was able to evolve my Pumpkin into a Squashini. Honestly, that's the greatest name ever, and I absolutely love the design. It is hilarious, just 10 out of 10. Since we defeated Erica early, it was time to take on Giovanni, hiding all the way down to the casino, and not gonna lie, his team was fairly simple. I felt like I did this in the wrong order, to where I probably should have taken on Giovanni first and then Erica, but either way, his team was pretty easy. I mean, he had an Observer that was pretty cool, but it really couldn't stand the might of my Joe, and also he had a Big D. Don't laugh at that joke. By the way, that Big D, all he could do was try to bulk up and try to take down my Gordo, and it didn't even matter, because luckily I could just spam some iron defenses, making me an impenetrable wall for poor Big D, meaning that he went down fairly simple, and last up was his Bufflehorn. Even then his Bufflehorn wasn't too bad, meaning I took down Giovanni without any deaths. I probably should have done this first, but you know what, I'll take it. It was a pretty easy fight regardless, and now we get to bully our poor rival. I mean, I don't know what Pokemon he lost, I can't really tell. I think he lost his Woofy. Oh no, wait a minute, I don't see the Woofy here. RIP poor Woofy. and his fight was fairly simple too. RIP Woofy, it will be missed. And upon saving Mr. Fuji from the Pokemon Tower, he awards us a Pokeflute, meaning I can wake up the sleeping Naughty and get my way towards the bike road. Not until capturing it first. I mean, this Pokemon looks absolutely amazing, since it's basically Snorlax. I'm probably going to use it on my team. Since it's already level 30, it could be a very useful member on my team before I take on Koga. And upon entering the Safari Zone, I came across this cute little puppet D. This looks absolutely amazing. How two Ds are trying to look like a big D in disguise. It's pretty unique. But this Pokemon was really difficult to capture. I thought at first it was going to run away if I just kept spamming some rocks. But after I threw a Pokeball, after throwing 3 rocks, I was able to capture it. This Puppet D could come in handy, but I believe it's normal type, so it might not be good against Koga. But now, since we're finally ready to go, let's take down Koga and see what he has in store for us. The gym fight with Koga was actually pretty terrifying. Even though all my Pokemon were at the level cap, I thought Moondo would do a lot more damage than he really did, even with the magnitude 9, but Krokon used 2 acid armors, his defense +4, and that was a lot, because not only did he spam body slams, but he would get instant paralysis, so that was really annoying, and I thought, okay, Moondo might not make it here, and sadly, the Venog had a Muddy Water, and that took down my poor Moondo. And my Squashini, no, my Squashini, I was going to use it later, but luckily I was able to defeat Koga, but man, losing Squashini was a detriment. That was probably one of my best Pokemon in the game so far, so losing him before Sabrina and the Giovanni fight is going to prove very detrimental. I'm not going to waste time with the rival fight before Giovanni, because that fight was actually pretty easy, even though they're all level 45. It was basically the same team, just with a dark matter. It was pretty simple, but I just want to see what I got instead of the Lapras, and I got a Heavy Lobster. Wow, from the anime, and from Kirby Superstar Ultra? That's pretty good actually. I wonder if I can use it on my team, but for now I need to take on Giovanni and save everyone from Team Rocket. But here we go, another fight between me and Giovanni. Time to end Team Rocket's reign of terror once and for all. And this fight was pretty terrifying, I am not gonna lie. Even though I had an evolved Gaga that turned into Gao, I thought I could just spam dig on the Grand D, but it kept spamming some bulk ups, which is pretty terrifying because I did absolutely no damage, even with just no defense boost. And Kimatori sadly got taken down by 1 Earthquake, which was kind of my mistake. I don't know why I brought it in when I should have just brought in Gobbler, but I was kind of worried with the switch in that I might be slower and it won't do enough damage, and that's my fault honestly. I should have known better, but even then, Gobbler was able to sweep up Giovanni's team, and that was it. I even got a Master Ball for the reward, but sadly, I kind of wasted Kimatori here. I should have just switched into Gobbler, and that's my mistake. Okay, this fight was both really easy and really annoying, both at the same time, because not only did Caller spam Silver Winds to basically one-shot almost everything except for the last Pokemon, Sabrina's Ace, but for some reason, it got no 10% boost or no Omni boost, no nothing. I decided to get greedy to try to go for an Air Cutter, and poor Caller got one shot. That was really annoying. So I thought, okay, I could bring in Take D here just to take. I mean, it's not very effective. Even with the special defense drop, I should survive one more. And it gets a Psychic and it kills me. Huh. Even with the special defense drop, I thought I could live that, but apparently not. And I just wasted 2 of my new Pokemon for absolutely no reason. That's really annoying. Sabrina was a very easy fight that should have had no deaths, which is just pain for me. It's just so annoying because I thought I could just win this fight fairly easily, but nope. I got bullied and lost 2 of my Pokemon for absolutely no reason. And that's the power of the Nuzlocke, people. You gotta be prepared no matter what. So upon entering the Seafoam Island before I took on Blaine, I noticed this really cute, really adorable. I mean, look at it. Look at Kind. It's so adorable, this legendary, and I really was tempted to use it. I did want to use it for the Elite Four, but I decided against it just because, you know, it's a legendary, probably be too easy, but just looking at it, it was so adorable and hilarious. Let's try to head to Blaine, but before we do that, let's actually get our fossil revived to see what it is. Let's see what the Disc fossil has in store for us. And upon returning to the professor to get my revived Pokemon fossil, it turned out to be a Jobski, which is pretty cool, and I decided to wait on using it This is when I realized going into Blaine that I could use rare candies and get them from the different people in front of the Pokemon gyms. That's when I realized, oh wait, I need to go back and grab every single rare candy that I could get. And by now I think I have like 300 plus. They give you a lot of rare candies in this game, I'm not gonna lie. But that's when I realized at the 7th gym, that's what I realized. I was so mad that I could have used this to level up a lot more Pokemon to actually use during this Nuzlocke, and that was my mistake. That was my bad. I also catch a Venog, which is pretty cool, and also this random legendary bird that was here chilling in Pokemon Mansion. How did it get here? Who knows? I accidentally killed it. Can't really capture it because of Nuzlocke rules. That's fine. Wasn't gonna use it anyway. So now let's head to Blaine and see what his fire types are. And I'm glad I had my starter with me the entire run because he made some easy work against Blaine's team. Even though the Burn Leo kept spamming Confuse Rays, it just wasn't enough. I was easily able to get my 7th gym badge. Only one more to go. And after defeating Blaine, it was finally time to take on our 8th and final gym leader, Giovanni. And this fight was pretty easy. All Gobbler had to do is just spam surfs, and that was basically it. It was just one surf after another, just one hit KOs. It was very, very easy. Even the rival fight had level 53 Pokemon, and it was still pretty easy. I'm just kind of flabbergasted that I just spammed Calm Mind, and it was no problem at all. Just because of the ability where normal moves become dark type moves. That really saved me by using Gooey, and that fight was also a joke. I mean, what's going on here? Oh well, you know what, I'll take it. Let's get on to the victory road. After going through the entire victory road basically unscathed, we are here at the Pokemon League and ready to take our rightful place as champion. And not only do I get the free rare candies, but the dude in front also tells you what the level cap is going to be. And for the Elite Four champion fight, the level cap is 63. So I'm going to get all my Pokemon up to level 60 only to give myself somewhat of a chance in this Elite Four fight, because I have no idea what they're going to be. I'm going into this completely blind. So if I'm lucky, hopefully I can make it to the champion with at least 4 Pokemon remaining. If I can do that, maybe I can win the whole thing. But here we go. It's all or nothing. Let's see what the Elite Four has in store for us. First up on the Elite Four gauntlet was Lorelei, and her Ice-type Pokemon were absolutely terrifying. Although I had a lot of coverage thanks to Gooey having Fire Blast and Heavy Lobster learning Flamethrower thanks to a lucky TM I actually picked up, this fight was still very difficult just because the Abuzu was a Ground and Ice type. I believe it's Ground and Ice. I have never seen a thing like that before where it just had an Earthquake to basically counter what I had planned. So I was kind of worried. Naughty luckily was able to take it out, but still, Mr. Frosty was a tank. But luckily, thanks to a clutch paralysis from the body slam, I was able to switch into Heavy Lobster and take down the Mr. Frosty. And the next few Pokemon were no match for my Heavy Lobster and the Flamethrower. Lorelei wasn't too bad. So far, a deathless Elite Four. And I gotta say, the Elite Four has really impressed me. Lorelei has moves to lower my attack, lower my defense. All in all, a really strategic battle that I basically, if I didn't have it leveled high enough, I probably would have wiped out here because she had such a interesting strategy. Let's hope all the Elite Four are like this, and hopefully I can live through all of them. But first, let's see just how tough Bruno really is. Okay, so I had a strategy set up for Bruno where it basically involved Galgao spamming bulk ups and try to sweep with Earthquake, but turns out that wasn't the proper strategy to use because Bruno's team, even 9 levels below, is absolutely terrifying. Look how much damage that Golem is doing 9 levels below. Oh my goodness, I am terrified. Luckily, the 2 Pokemon easily get swept, and Bonkers also gets swept as well. Okay, this fight ain't looking bad, but here comes the problem. Yep, Bugsy, the evolved form of Beatley, and it does so much damage. Vital Throw is absolutely ridiculous. Luckily, I still had a Fire Blast ready to use, and it survived on 1 HP. Even though it still got the burn off, it was making an easy KO. Then the rest of it was pretty simple, just because Grandman went for a bulk up, and that was it. An easy battle, but it could have went south quickly if I didn't switch out Galgao. But now, let's get on to Agatha. halfway through the Elite Four now, and let's take on Agatha and her Ghost-type Pokemon. And I allowed it with Gooey to try to sweep this entire team, since it has the ability where normal moves become dark moves, and since everything's super effective, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do that and try to strategize. But instead, since the Ace Phantom had to use the Scary Face, I was pretty terrified, because I knew I was slower than that thing, so I decided to switch in the Gobbler to use Crunch, and this is my mistake. I forgot the Plasma Wisp was an electric type. I fought against Surge so long ago that I completely forgot, and that meant that poor Gobbler had to go down, and that was a very, very big blow. That was pretty bad on my part. I should have switched in to Naughty to tank it, but yeah, that was pretty bad. Also, I should have switched in to Gao Gao. What am I doing? If I remembered that the Plasma Wisp was electric type, I probably would have had a Deathless run as well, but that was pretty bad. Luckily, Agatha took no more prisoners, even though Blado was pretty close to dying actually. It was getting scary at first, but the Skull Lion was last, and I was kind of debating what to use next because I kept trying to spam Hypnosis, so I decided just to use Heavy Lobster to see what I could do. And this thing is special defense bulked, that's for sure. But luckily a few surfs were down, even though I kept spamming full restore, that was it. I lost poor Gobbler for absolutely no reason. That's one Pokemon down. I hope lads can take pity on me because I hope that no more Pokemon can go down before I had to take on the champion. And sadly, as much as it pains me to say this, Lance was the run killer. His dragon types were so unique that they basically countered my entire team. He had coverage for Gao Gao, he had coverage for Heavy Lobster, he had ice dragon types, he had fire dragon types, he had ground dragon types. It was ridiculous. There was no singular answer to counter his team. If anything, he perfectly countered mine. So at this point, I ain't gonna lie to you, I almost lost to Lance. Yep, I barely beat him. I am not gonna sugarcoat it. This was the most intense fight I have ever had in a ROM hack that wasn't considered like Inclement Emerald, Radical Red, you know, all those hardcore Nuzlocke ROM hacks that basically you want to torture yourself, play those games. But this Landia was the bane of my existence. It set up a sunny day, or it basically had Ground's ability where it brings the sun out, drought. It had that immediately. So I had to counter it with Hail. I was going to run this strategy where I used Hail on Naughty, then switch out to use an Ice Beam on something else, because I thought it was just to be entire Dragon types to make it simple and easy. But no, he had a full counter to my team, and this Landia basically knocked out my entire team. My entire team basically almost wiped to this one thing. At level 60, this was the scariest Pokemon I have yet to face. I really didn't know what to do, except luckily I had Gao Gao have something at least with Dragon Claw, and it just got one shot because it says Ice Dragon. I used Earthquake and it's normal. That was my mistake. I should have used a Dragon Claw to try to one-shot it, but even then I think it would just survived either way, so I was kind of in a pickle. All I had left was Heavy Lobster and Gooey, and I didn't think I'd win this at first, but luckily it went for a Dragon Rage for some reason and absolutely threw, and Lance was defeated. I have no words for this boss fight. This was an amazing boss fight to have, and if I could run it back again, I probably would have brought in Naughty to set up the Hail to try to sweep early on. But even then, this is a great boss fight, and I would highly recommend playing through this ROM hack if you haven't. But can Gooey and Heavy Lobster do the impossible and sweep in a 6v2 situation? Let's find out. And the short answer to this question is no. Sadly, I was not able to beat the champion with just Heavy Lobster and Gooey, meaning that I failed the Nuzlocke. Right at the finish line, I failed my first attempt at beating Pokemon Puffy Peak version with just Kirby characters. I was so close. I even tried to use strategy where I just spam Calm Minds and try to use Fire Blast to try to get one-shots, and even then, that just didn't work out. Honestly, this whole ROM hack was 10 out of 10. And shout out to the Ultra Nerd for making this amazing ROM hack. I would recommend following her YouTube, following her Twitter, follow her everything, because this ROM hack was amazing. And although I couldn't finish it, I will be back on this game, either on my Twitch, by streaming my attempt at beating this game with only shinies, or doing Pokemon XD randomized Nuzlocke, which I promised somebody I would do that eventually. I'm actually going to make it into a vote, a community vote. Would you rather see an attempt of Puffy Peak version with shinies only, or the Pokemon XD randomized hardcore Nuzlocke? I'm going to put that after the video in the community notes, so if you haven't seen it, hit that notification bell and make sure to vote, because I'm kind of interested in what you all want to see. But I'll catch you guys for the next episode. I'm probably just going to leave it showing off the finale of the fight with all my Pokemon, because this fight was super intense. And I'll catch everyone for the next episode, whatever that may be. Later, everybody.